Hello. So just looking at your score, Kangwa, you know there's 20 marks going for this score. You had the violin 1 and violin 2 to complete. At 10 marks going for your creativity and rhythm, which you do have a lot of variation and creativity using dotted crotchets. I particularly like the slur, the tied notes across the bar line. Gives a real sense of syncopation, so offbeat rhythm. You also had 10 marks going for using the correct notes of the chord. So, for example, we start in A major. Your first 1, 2, and 3 bars are completely fine because in these 2 bars you must use the notes of A major, and you have mostly the notes using some passing notes, an upper neighbour note or upper auxiliary note. It's all fine. Same with here. When we get to here, I think you have confused this bar a bit because the notes are E, G, and E, G sharp, and B. You've got an E in the bass, a B is given to you in the viola, but your main notes here are you have a long F sharp there and there, a long D there, a long A there, and it gives a real discordant sense. If you listen to your violin 1 and 2 on their own, they sound fine. Okay, I lied, there's a clash between the A and the B there. But you use too many notes that are not part of this E major chord. So now you have. So this, bar 4 here. That's just one area. You continued on really well. These bar 5 here is very nice. Now here, the next main issue I want to talk to you about is your violin at 1 and 2 and the relationship between them. Violin 2 should always be lower than violin 1. At this point, you can see your violin 2 is on an F sharp and your violin 1 crosses over it, and it makes for a very clashy sound. So this bar then, you can hear it sounds too clashy. And we lose a sense of who has what notes. Try and keep your violin 1 and 2 more separated. Might even be an idea to have raised your melody up and have this figuration up an octave for these first 2 beats. Last bar here was fine using chord 1. Fine, you then modulated well into the dominant E major. Absolutely fine here. Just again being careful in bar 10, you have a crossover between your violin 1 and violin 2, meaning that your violin 2 has higher notes than your violin 1. Or even if it has the same notes, we kind of lose a sense of melody. It ends up like. Whereas maybe if your violin 2 stayed on the A, then you'd be better able to hear the melody, the C sharp in the violin 1. Okay, but even that G sharp is below. Try and keep them at least maybe a third apart or a fifth apart. This bar was fine, nothing particularly wrong here. Here again, your violin 2 has the same note as your violin 1. You can just use some passing notes or things in your violin 2 here, but when they have the same note, we kind of lose a sense of the individual instruments. Last bar here, fine. I wouldn't end a phrase on a very short note. Doesn't make us feel like we are finished. In your last bar, your last 4 bars, actually these were particularly nice, and you handled again the notes quite well with this. Be careful of the crossover again here. You can see you have a C sharp in your violin 2 and then your violin 1 is going underneath that C sharp. Okay? So that was 3 main points I have for you. One is the violin 1 and violin 2 crossing each other. So don't let your violin 2 go higher than your violin 1. The second thing was just the notes, using the notes of the chord. Here you had too many notes that weren't of chord 5. And one last thing, try and have a direction in your melody. For example, here it goes up, which is nice. And then it comes down and then jumps up and then comes down and then jumps up again at the end. It seemed at times it jumped up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down a bit too much. For example, here. Sorry. Try and have a gradual sense. For example, a gradual sense that it's moving up, down, maybe like this. So this phrase maybe might sound like. So I started low, went up high. There's a lot of jumping up, down, up, down. Try and maybe even over 2 bars move up, down, and then keep it low, or up, up, having a climax at the end of the second bar and down again. Gradual movement and a direction in melody helps. So those were your 3 points. But well done otherwise, and mostly very good composition.